Welcome to Getting the Message Out, sponsored by Towns County Republican Party. I'm John Alger, Vice Chairman of the Towns County GOP. Today we're going to be interviewing Kenneth Henderson and Daren Osborn, the runoff candidates for Towns County Sheriff. Now, neither of them took 50% plus one in the general primary, so we're headed to the runoff to be held August 11th. So the format for today's questioning is more like a forum than a debate because we're doing this recording on two separate days, so the candidates won't have the opportunity to rebut something that their opponent has said. As a candidate for the Washington State's House of Representatives in 2016, I know what these guys are about to go through. So I have broken with tradition and gave each of them one of the questions, and so they know what's going on. We're going to ask 10 questions, and by a quite scientific method, we have determined that Bear Osborn is going to get the first answer, and then we'll rotate. Next, Ken will get to go first, and then Bear. So that being said, let's start with the very first question. So, Bear, both of you have emphasized the importance of continued training for your deputies. But let's be honest, training is really expensive. You have to pay the trainee while he or she is not doing his or her normal duties. You have to pay the instructor. You have to pay for the training facility. You have to pay for the officer who's standing in for the trainee. And if the training is not local, you're going to have to pay for travel and per diem. All that said, how do you allocate these additional monies for training, not only in a normal budgetary cycle, but in this cycle where we've got great revenue losses due to COVID and the lockdowns and travel restrictions? How do you allocate those additional monies? How are you going to allocate all of the monies for training?
Okay, training, again, is very important, as I've stressed during my whole campaign. The state of Georgia provides free training at Georgia GPST, Georgia Post Standards and Training, in Forsyth. The cost of going down there, of course, is travel, which is gas. Of course, you pay the officers as you go down there, which is where you have to pay part-time people, which you do not have to. When you have part-time people working in those spots, you do not have to pay those part-time people benefits and packages. And you pay part-time people not as much as you do your full-time people. So that's a cost saving to the county in itself. And, training, in my mind, you pay for training, but it's a lot cheaper to pay for training than it is to pay for lawsuits down the road.
Well, let me tell you, with my experience at Young Harris College, and I have, several employees at the college that work for me, so we have to do a lot of training. But there are resources out there that doesn't cost you. We have a lot of people in the community here, Towns County, Union County, that offer us training free of charge. So I get a lot of our training through those kinds of people that come in and do the training. But we also we can reach out to the training centers and they'll come out to do some training for us. Now, a lot of your training that you send these officers to, the department will be reimbursed for those expenses through the state. Okay, so and of course you got online training as well. There's a certain amount of that as well that you can get. So I don't see it being a budgetary problem to be able to get the training that our officers need. And I can't stress that enough. We have to have good, well-trained officers.
So, Chief Henderson, question number 2. Are there any laws on the books you think should be reviewed, revised, or completely eliminated?
Well, I think the laws that we have on the books that I deal with in my job are fine. The only thing that I would probably think maybe should change or at least looked at is when people attack and resist arrest with police officers. I think that should be a felony. I think when you resist arrest and you fight law enforcement, then I feel like that should be a felony. At this point in time, it's a misdemeanor.
Okay.
That's a good question. I've studied on this, and the one that I love kids. Kids, I have great nieces and great nephews running out my ears, so to speak. I don't have no great grandchildren or grandchildren yet. I'm gonna have to get my kids to work. But I want to touch on a subject that might be a little delicate, but it's child pornography. We have pedophiles in our community. They're everywhere. And with devices now, telephones, laptops, they keep it stored on their phones and they pass it around, which is against the law. It's a felony in the state of Georgia. But there's not a law on the books in the state of Georgia for child erotica, which is where children 18 years and under pose basically in their underwear. And I hate to say this on camera, but it's the truth. I'm just telling you the truth, that they pose in their underwear in conspicuous positions. And there's no law on the books about that. And when I'm elected, I'm going to work with our state representative and work and see if we can get that on the book. GBI SEAC unit, which is the crime unit that works to help find these predators and put them away and put them in jail, and we work closely with them where I work in Union County now. They want it done. GBI wants it done. They want to, because that's a gateway to child pornography. Sure. And we worked closely with the FBI just 2 weeks ago to lock a man up. That it was awful, some of the stuff he had. But that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. So Bear, question 3 is really a 3-part question. First, what are Towns County's worst drugs? Second, how would you tackle each one, or is there no difference? And finally, can we eliminate illegal drugs from Towns County?
We'll go through them one by one. Mm-hmm. Okay. The worst drugs, of course, is meth and heroin. We do have heroin in Towns County. Actually, last Friday, we were on a bus in Union County, and I actually located some heroin that we were doing a search of a residence. Wasn't expecting to find the heroin. We was there on a theft of property call, and I found some heroin on it during the search warrant. Heroin's here. If it's across the line 5 miles from where we're sitting right now, it's in Towns County too. Second part of the question is, how would we eliminate it?
How would we tackle them differently?
How would we tackle them differently? You can't tackle them differently. You got to tackle them the same way. And that's when I'm going to join the Drug Task Force again, get active with the Appalachian Drug Task Force. They just took down a multi-million-dollar operation in Hall County last week. I spoke with a couple of the sheriffs that was involved with that, and they said that it touched every county in northeast Georgia. That's including Towns County. Folks, that's including Towns County. It's touched. And we're talking about 50 kilos of meth, 50 kilos of heroin. And it came to Towns County just like it did Union County. It touched every county. And to eliminate it, we've been trying to eliminate drugs ever since I've been in law enforcement. You can work on it, you can do the best you can, and work hard. I'm going after the dealers. If you're dealing, look out. The users, everybody uses that you can stop users every day and lock them up. And that's where you get your information to get to the dealers. Mm-hmm. I want to try to get the users help. But that would help eliminate some of it, is offering to help some of these people. But to totally eliminate it, you never will.
Okay.
I think right now, I think meth is a very serious drug that's across this country. And I think I know I deal, even in my part-time jobs in other areas, we deal with a lot of meth. Heroin, that's another problem because it's become very cheap. And so heroin's a drug that's being used a lot. So I would say meth and heroin probably are the two most serious drugs we're faced with now.
And tackling
that, there again, as I've said, over and over, and talking with the people of Towns County, I think it comes to getting good, trained, well-qualified, well-trained drug agents that know how to deal with this, and going out here and working these drugs and trying to eliminate it as best we can. And as to your last question, we will never eliminate the drugs here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we can eliminate drugs, but we certainly can stop it from becoming a sanctuary city for drugs. And I'll be that sheriff that's going to go out there, and I would say this, and I've said it over and over. If you're dealing drugs in Towns County, don't vote for me. Don't vote for me, because I'm coming for you if I'm sheriff.
Chief Henderson, Towns County is a proud, tight-knit rural community. However, events just this last week show that we're not isolated from protests that we normally think of happening only in big urban areas. Defacing property, private or public, is a very, very short step to crowds, mobs, riots, and in fact, major violence. What actions would you consider to protect the rights of the citizens of Town County and the rights of the protesters? And then finally, would you support a citizen militia?
I respect the rights of people to protest. Okay, peaceful protest, I respect. But as a sheriff, if I'm elected sheriff and it's not peaceful, and you start destroying people's property or you start harming people, then you're going to jail. You're going to be arrested. There's no question what I'll do. And depending on the information I have as to we were to have a protest in our county, then I'm going to make sure I got resources that I can reach to back me up in that. And we will not tolerate bad behavior or criminal acts.
The follow-on to that is, would you thereby support a citizen militia?
I'm not sure what you mean by citizen militia. I'm not sure on what you're asking me there. You talking about volunteer citizen help? Oh, by all means, I would support that. I'm a big supporter, and made that clear to Kalia. I also want to expand that and get into, having people volunteer that want to do more. I want to get involved with making sure we have people that are that wants to get involved with law enforcement can get involved. We have a lot of people that's interested in that want to step up and offer their services, retired officers, both male and female, and this sheriff will work with these people.
Everybody has a right to protest. That's given to you in the First Amendment. But you got a right to a peaceful protest. I will not tolerate what happened last week. One of my campaign signs was defaced during this. It was ACAB. All cops are bastards. I immediately took it down once I was notified. I got it off the side of the road, and other people helped clean up the county. Thank you, folks that done that. Really, I appreciate it. But, and I've offered a $500 reward out of my own pocket for the arrest and conviction of these people. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have to do more extra patrol and aggressive patrol when we have events in the county like the 4th of July. It's when it happened. All the deputies can be gathered at the fireworks and let somebody be doing this out in the county. You got to have people out patrolling while these events are happening.
Okay. Second part of the question then is, would you support a citizen militia?
Yes, if it gets down to the point where Towns County is not protected and I don't have enough deputies to protect them, I'll do what I gotta do to protect this county. I love these mountains, and I'm gonna protect them to do whatever I've got to do. As long as people are trained and well qualified with weapons, and they abide by the Second Amendment, and they're not convicted felons, and it gets down to the point we gotta protect this county, I will do what I have to do as sheriff.
Deputy Osborn, Towns County has a small law enforcement team. Our county is relatively small, and due to COVID, we're experiencing tremendous loss of revenue that will result in deep budget cuts. How do you plan to address those cuts? And specifically, what would you cut first, and what would you adamantly resist cutting?
What would be cut first? I will not cut personnel.
Okay.
I will not cut personnel. You've got to have everybody that you can get working. We got a great team already there, I think, and I like, the people working there. I have no qualms with a lot of them, and they got families they got to feed. They got to work. I'll actually fight for them for more money, even though there's budget cuts coming. You got detention officers that's making $12, $13 an hour. You can make that much at McDonald's flipping hamburgers. And they're working at the jail, risking their lives, even in the detention center, fighting inmates. So what would be cut? You just got to sit down. I mean, there's probably some fat in that budget somewhere that's unnecessary for, supplies, stuff like that, that's unnecessary. But you just got to sit down and look at the budget line by line and cut what you can out of it. But I will not cut personnel out.
Well, I think the adamantly would be to cut the officers to where that you don't have the coverage that you need to serve the people of Towns County, and an adequate amount of police officers. I think that's just not questionable. I think you have to look within the department. I think you have to see what you got to be there in the sheriff to see what's there. How many officers you got, how many people you got working in offices, how many people you got in jail staff, how many people that you have, and look at the places that if you've got a cut, that would be the places you more likely to cut that might even be if you had 2 secretaries. I don't know what they have. Then you'd cut one. Or you got extra jail staff or something that's you'd have to cut until the budget's improved till you come back. But if you have to cut, you got no choice. I think that's kind of difficult because I'm from the outside looking in. I don't know what system they have or how many people's in the sheriff's department, so I don't know.
So, Towns County just upgraded from an analog to a digital communication system. What other tech upgrades do you see coming, and how are we going to pay for them?
Well, I have no idea. I do know we have just recently changed from analog to digital. Okay, and it's great. It's a whole different system, and it's wonderful. Young Harris College obviously had to change as well, police department there, and we have, and that's been paid for. Now, as far as what's coming in the future, I have no idea. It could be something coming that would be much better than that. And at that point, that'd be the time you'd have to look at your budgets. You'd have to discuss this with many people. Your commissioner, first of all, would have to say, is this something the county can afford to do? And it'd have to be looked at closely in order to make a decision if that were something that we're going to do. I know I was involved in many meetings here with the commissioner, with the sheriff's staff, and folks to discuss when we changed over to digital. And thank God we were able to do that. And it's a good system.
Good. We pay for them.
In-car computers. We need them bad. And basically, I got a grant for them when I was at the City of Baldwin. Free. Didn't cost us a penny. there's grants out there for them. You just got to sit down and search. You know, it's not an overnight success. You know, nothing I have on my platform and goals are going to be overnight successes. It's going to take time. And I outfitted 12 cars with computers and the internet sticks from Verizon. And all we actually had to pay for was the internet service. And that was a tremendous cost savings to the city at that time. But, you know, and that was several years ago. There's still grants out there, but you got to search for them through the Georgia Sheriff's Association, even through the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police. Just because you're a sheriff don't mean you can't piggyback off of them. You just got to, you know, pay $100 a month or a year and become a member of the Georgia Police Chiefs Association and get their emails and network with them. That's the name of the game, is networking with different agencies and find out where the grants come from. That's how I found out about these. The executive director called me and said, hey, there's a great grant for departments your size for in-car computers. Are you interested? Absolutely. I got a scan machine where you do your fingerprints. You know, $17,000 cost, free. It's just, they're out there. You got to look for them.
Bear, let's talk about the very worst case scenario we can imagine. An active shooter in our school. The understatement of the decade has got to be time is critical. Every single second means more deaths. It's my understanding we have a reciprocal support agreement with Rabun, Fannin, and Union counties, but travel time is significant. Let's take Union County, it's the closest. Getting from Blairsville to our school takes 16 to 18 minutes during midday in spring or summer. If we're talking morning traffic on an icy January morning, maybe 25 or 30 minutes. What is the Osborn plan?
Well, an icy morning in January, there wouldn't be no school. Number one. We wouldn't have to worry about it. I got you, John. But in a normal situation, seriously, in a normal situation, and active shooter's not normal.
Yeah.
I pray to God it never happens in Towns County. I pray to God. But one of the first things I plan to do when elected is I'm going to sit down with the director of 911, sit down with the fire chief and director of EMA and EMS. We're going to put a plan together, okay? And as soon as that call comes in to 911 of an active shooter, dispatch is going to have the phones ringing. We're going to go straight to the school. I mean, you got school resource officers already there. You know, they're going to be trained. We're going to train. We're going to train with all these agencies also. I'm going to have a mutual agreement with Union County, of course, being they are the quickest, and with Union County School Police Department, because they're trained for school shootings. And another plan I have, which is free, is the FLECFI, the Federal Training Facility in Brunswick or Charleston. All it costs is to drive down there and active shooter training for each deputy. Absolutely free. Does not cost a penny. Board is free, food is free. So, yeah.
First of all, there has to be training involved, ongoing training involved. There's many things that come into factor here, okay? At Young Harris College, obviously I am in one of the worst places possible that this could possibly happen. More likely than not, it'd be Young Harris College or in our school system here. So we train there regularly with, we have Homeland Security in the summer. We do training with that. We've had them, some of their experts in that field come in and train with us on Young Harris College campus, being the police department. If I'm sheriff, I'm going to involve everybody in that, from the dispatch center to the 911 folks, and we want to make sure we get the fire department involved. We want to make sure we got EMS involved, so that everybody's training together and knows when and how to respond to this kind of situation. Okay, and you're gonna want to make sure that you're also reaching out to the resources you have, surrounding resources. Okay, and make sure those people are available to you and are training with us. When Mr. Bill Kendall was our commissioner here, we trained at Young Harris College. We brought people from Union County in, we brought people from Towns County in, and we all sat at the table. We did some tabletops. Then we also trained in our buildings, knowing where they're at. It's so important for all these officers here, Hiawassee Police Department, Towns County Sheriff's Department, to know the names of our buildings at Young Harris College. Okay, they need to know those, so when and if they do respond, they know where they're going. So training. We have to do it. And as well, we know there's soft targets all over our county. It's not just our school systems, okay? And we have to train and know that we're the best trained we can be to respond to such event.
Gotcha. So Chief, if there's a situation where we need eyes in the sky, what's your plan to provide it? Are you looking at a drone or a helicopter? Or what, and how do we finance that?
I think that's something that has been discussed, but when you're talking about drones, I'm not certain on this, but I think your drones are fairly expensive. But I do believe that we could reach out to some of the surrounding counties or areas that do have these type of devices, and something that we could probably get here as quickly as possible. I know we have reached out to the governor's task force before, and they were there fairly quick. But I would definitely look into that to make sure we had those things available to us in the event that we should need them.
It's going to be free. Georgia State Patrol's got an aviation, and if it's weather fit, they can be here 30 minutes. Georgia DNR, same thing. They can be here 30 minutes. We've used them in Union County. Also, we have a deputy in Union County, which I've already talked to him, and he's willing to use his services with his drone. He is FAA certified with the drone. It's a private. He don't have it with the sheriff's office. It's his private drone, but he's went and got FAA certified. So yeah, sure, I'll be willing to help you. If we got missing children, something other like that, or, elderly person with dementia walked off in the woods and we need it, and he can search at night with his drone. So it's a high dollar, high class drone. And with him being a mandated officer, that's great. So, and he's a young guy and likes technology, so I wouldn't know how to use one, but he does. But anyway, that's my ideas. And the GSP and DNR have the FLIRs, which, heat detection devices that they can use when they're flying around. And for instance, over in such as 2 or 3 years ago, we found a small child in the middle of July in the dense, the woods. It's dense like it is hot, like it is today. We found a small child. So it works.
Bear, I understand that that is Towns County pays the Humane Society's Mountain Shelter over in Blairsville about $29,000 a year to take care of dogs. They took about 200 dogs last year. They only take perfectly adoptable animals, and at $29,000 for 200 dogs, that's about between $140 and $150 per animal. Do you have a better way of spending that money?
Sounds to me like there would be. I plan on starting an animal control unit. I want to sit down with the commissioner when elected, and I want a full-time animal control unit. I don't want a part-time unit. I want one that deals only with animal calls. If there's animal calls, he deals with it. Of course, he will also help back up the road units. on calls also, because, they're not gonna be animal calls all day long. But that'd be just an extra deputy on the road in a pickup that's got, devices to humanely catch these animals with and deal with them. But as far as that money going to the Humane Society, that's something the commissioner does. I don't have no dealings with that. But I think that money could be better spent on building our own animal shelter and let the animal control officer find places to place these animals himself. Because I know that's what happens next door.
Well, I've talked with the commissioner about this, and if I'm elected, it's my understanding too as well, in that if you've got a vicious dog, it goes to maybe the veterinarian here on 17. I'm not sure, but I think that's where it goes to. But I've talked with the commissioner. I want to sit down with the commissioner and discuss how we as a sheriff's department can do better with this, okay? Mm-hmm. How we can manage this better and have officers trained to be able to go out and when we get a call on a stray dog, and try our best to find out who the owner is and make sure that we're looking after our animals and taking care of them, of course, but also have a system that may be better. And I'm sure our commissioner's looking at that, and have some discussion with our commissioner again. That's his decision. And see what the sheriff's department can do and what we can do, or he can have us do, that would make this better, to look after our animals and make sure they get care and are taken care of when we have to pick them up. But our officers have to be trained in that and knowing how to do that.
Chief Henderson, do we need more than one drug dog in Towns County, or is our dog Buddy enough?
I don't know. I don't know how many dogs we have there. If we only have one, then we have one. I would leave that up to my drug agents to make sure they know that we're sufficient in that area. It would seem to me that based on, and I know very little, but based on what I know, the dogs tire real quick when they're doing this sniffing out drugs, okay? If that's the case, and you had a case late this afternoon and you needed the dog, he's been out, he's tired, and then you've got a case that comes up later in the night, and he may not be able to detect that because his senses have already been overworked, okay? So I would look at that closely and see if that's something that our drug agents would think that we would need another dog. And if that's the case, then we certainly want to do it, because again, we're going to work on the drugs in this county if I'm elected sheriff.
Okay.
We need two. We need one on each shift. That's simple.
Okay. Let's go on. Deputy Osborn, when Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York, the crime rate plummeted, and he attributed that to the enforcement of every single law on the books, from spitting on the sidewalk to jaywalking to speeding to running a stop sign. Now, I understand that New York and Towns County aren't exactly the same, and so it may not translate. But could you talk to how enforcing every single law on the books might, in fact, reduce crime overall?
Well, every single law, like spitting on the sidewalk or jaywalking, and, I think that's carrying it a little bit too far. Okay? If you're riding down the road and you're doing 85 or 90 mile an hour, yeah, you're going to get a speeding ticket, okay? Bottom line, because that's endangering people's lives. If you're driving and drinking and DUI, you're going to jail. Bottom line. If you're breaking into people's houses and stealing, you're going to jail. But these little nitpicky laws, there's probably laws on the book dating back to 1880s. I don't know. You've got your horse tied up to the hitch too long. You can't do that. But, there's probably no telling what kind of laws are on the book if we really research them. But the main laws will be enforced that are endangering people's lives. Bottom line, we're going to enforce the laws, state of Georgia, and we're going to keep people safe. and we're gonna make this place a respectable and safe place to live.
Good.
Well, I think, first and foremost, we're sworn law officers. And for me to not enforce the laws would be a violation.
Mm-hmm.
So as your sheriff, if I'm sheriff, we're going to enforce the laws. So if it's on the book, we're going to enforce it.
Gotcha. So Chief Henderson, those are your people out there. Why don't you take a minute to tell them why they need to vote for you for the next sheriff of Towns County?
Okay. Well, let me just say again here, my name is Kenneth Henderson. I'm the chief of police at Young Harris College. I've served there for 38 years. I've worked with young folks during those years. During that time, I've worked at Towns County Sheriff's Department. I've worked for Union County Sheriff's Department. I presently work down in McKaysville, Georgia, part-time. Now, these are all part-time jobs, but I've been in every aspect of law enforcement. I've handled budgets. I've supervised. I've done all the things that I think is necessary to be able to be your sheriff. I'm going to work hard and get good officers to do this go after these drugs and things in our county. I want to make sure that our officers are well trained and getting the training they need. I want to make sure we set up programs through volunteer programs with people that are willing to come in and work with the Sheriff's Department and have our elderly checked on. But one thing I missed there that I want you to know, I want to make sure our officers are well trained in mental awareness, mental illness awareness, so that we are be able to detect that when we're out here doing our job. I also want to make sure we've got a drug tip line where people can call in and report drug activities and things and if it's good information, we'll pay for that. And you say, well, where do you get the money? It comes from drug seizures. That's seizure monies. And so that'll be how they would be paid. I want to make sure I'm working out here every day in uniform along with my officers, making sure we're out here doing our job. And I'm going to assign them to different areas in the county where they're assigned, and they're going to be out patrolling the neighborhoods, community policing, as well as, and not just out patrolling in the communities. I want them to get to know the people in these communities so that good information sharing comes with that. You know what's going on, making sure things are going good. I want to work with all of our surrounding law enforcement agencies. I want to make sure we all are on the, training together and sharing the information with each other and making sure we've got a good working relationship. And I intend to do those things. And if you come out and vote for me on August the 11th, I can assure you this: if I'm elected sheriff, I'll work hard every day along with my deputies to earn your respect and support. Thank you.
Deputy Osborn, those are your folks out there. Why don't you tell them why you're the one that they should vote for to be the next Towns County Sheriff? The next Towns County Sheriff. Right there.
Right there. Okay. Okay, folks, this has been a long 10 months. I've been knocking on doors. I've been talking to many people. I have been working also on my job, and I haven't got to talk to everyone. But this is the last 3.5 weeks to go to election. And bottom line is politics, and I'm not a politician, honestly. I'm just a working man, and I want to be sheriff of Towns County. And I want to be your sheriff. And the reason I want to be your sheriff is because I want to bring law and order to this county. I want to keep you safe. I love these mountains. Bottom line, I was born and raised here. My family's been here for many, many years. And I'm going to take drugs. I'm taking that very serious. We got to take care of the dealers. Bottom line, that's just one of the most important things. You may be surprised who some of the dealers are when we get to work on it. And it might be your next door neighbor, you never know. But we're going to take care of the problem. We're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of your mother, your father, your grandparents. We're going to take care of your kids. We're going to do what it takes to keep you safe. And we're going to run a respectable and honorable sheriff's office. So early voting starts Monday, July the 20th, and the runoff date is August the 11th of 2020. I do appreciate and humbly ask for your vote, and God bless every one of you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we spoke with Chief Ken Henderson and Deputy Daren Osborn. They're the runoff candidates for Towns County Sheriff. The election's going to be on the 11th of August. You need to vote. I hope that you were able to make some decisions today based on what the candidates had to say. So from the Towns County Republican Party, I'm John Alger. Thank you very, very much.